Hey, welcome. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me here at the Matt Mettler podcast broadcast. I am, of course, your host, Matt Mettler. I got some show notes, so I'm going to do a little show for you today. I'm also waiting on the Amazon guy to deliver a selfie ring that's hopefully going to help clean up some of my lighting issues going on in here. Right now, I kind of have a little bit of a hodgepodgery of lights going on. You guys can't see it, but it's fun. It's fun. It's very clever. I'm using my music and video business training because I took lighting for television and film. I'm definitely using those skills plus improvisation, no doubt about it. I should stop looking at the lights. It's making it impossible to see anything else. I've been feeling different these days. I noticed this yesterday when I left the studio, or actually on the way over to the studio. I noticed that I was feeling different in only the best kind of way. I feel a new kind of peace. I feel like a renewed sense of love for the alive things in the world. Like, the bees and the chickens and the ants and each one of those little creatures, busy fulfilling its little purpose, right? And I'm seeing like the beauty and the joy in things. Just everywhere, all around me, right? I'm seeing the beauty and the joy in things. And it's really nice. One of the things that I realize is that even with their flaws, people are perfect because our flaws do not define us, right? It's our actions and our spirits and our hearts and our love that do. So I've been feeling a renewed sense of positivity towards people, towards living things. I think that's really cool. I think that's a very positive thing. I didn't expect that to come out of doing the podcast, but it's been a side effect of it. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's pretty cool. Even in your imperfection, you're perfect. People love you. People care about you, flaws and all. So remember that. My next topic, this one's going to be kind of heavy. It's going to be a little bit heavy for so early in the episode, but I think this episode probably won't be quite as long. Because of that, I'm gonna try and just get into it, right? My next topic is, here is why you should not trade liberty for safety, right? And the reason why you shouldn't trade liberty for safety is because there really is no such thing as safety. There is really only that which is less dangerous, right? Safety is an illusion, and it is a word describing the ethereal or a transient moment in time, like they made it to safety. Safety is a word that is relative to something else, relative to something that is less safe or unsafe. Beyond that, it doesn't actually exist. Safety doesn't really exist. There is only that which is less dangerous. Best practices promote the idea of safety by doing things in the least dangerous way. But even following best practices does not mitigate all possible outcomes. It merely promotes a mathematical favorability to the better ones, right? So even if you're trying to do something as safely as you think you can, what you're really trying to do it in the least dangerous manner possible. Right? Safety, like I said, safety is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. An example would be the only way to do something that involves risk safely would be to not do it. Right? So, and you probably ask yourselves, why do I tell you this? Because once you've mentally come to terms with the idea that safety is just sort of like this illusory concept, you're going to feel less fear. You're going to feel less anxiety, and you're going to be more free. And when people try to promise you safety, you should be skeptical. Anybody who's trying to promise you safety, be very skeptical of them, because they can't really promise you safety, right? Governments, courts, and police cannot guarantee your safety. Police are mostly a reactive force designed to contain the problem and then move to mitigate the threat for the most part. right? Like the police are not actually a defensive force. They're a reactive force. So they're not really there to defend you per se. They're there to respond when somebody does something against you and you call them, right? See, that's problematic, right? They're not a defensive force. Nobody can assure your safety or guarantee your safety because it doesn't exist. They can only guarantee to do things in the least dangerous manner possible. That's it. The threat of court or government action only stops people in a reasonable state from committing acts. People truly bent on revenge or violence or chaos rarely stop to think about this before doing whatever it is that they're going to do. So tell me how the government provides for our safety again, right? If there is such a thing as safety, it is something that only you can do for yourself. It is something that only you can give yourself. Nobody can do it for you. Safety, if I would entertain that word, is a feeling that you get by being prepared, by having done all the things that you can do to try and assure the best outcomes, right? When you have done all of those things, you as an individual get to feel the feeling of safety, right? But beyond that, nobody can give it to you. Nobody can make you feel safe. Only you can make you feel safe, right? So safety is a funny thing in the world. We talk an awful lot about always trying to be safe and this and that and the other, but really what we're trying to do is be the least amount of dangerous that you could possibly be. Because if there is such a thing as safety, that's what it is doing whatever is the least amount of danger. And my next topic is a what if. It's a thought experiment. It is a thought experiment about government. Just as a thought experiment, what if we didn't have these enormous data collection centers and surveillance programs? What if we just didn't have those things? How much more danger would we really be in relative to the amount of danger that we're in now? I almost feel like it'd be less. I almost feel like not only would it be less, but we could probably more wisely allocate those dollars to something else more meaningful, for sure, than spying on Americans for what reason I have no idea. Right? Like I kind of believe in old time police work in the sense that see something, say something. You know, your neighbor's acting kind of nutty. Maybe have the cops just go do a knock and talk, right? Because anybody who's not up to some shady shit won't mind having a knock and talk with the police at all. And when the police come in and they talk to somebody who's a normal, regular person who's not up to shady shit, they'll probably walk away thinking, we really didn't find a whole lot going on there, man. He actually seemed like a cool cat when we talked to him. Things like that, right? So I almost feel like we could just get back to doing that kind of police work. It's probably more effective. It probably led to more actual investigative work and or things being discovered or found than all of this nonsense. Because right now it's completely overblown. What do we need that stuff for? What do we really need that crap for, right? We have entire data centers sucking up thousands of watts of electricity a minute. You know, keeping track of what? For what? You know? Do we really need that? No, we don't. It's the fact that you got people out there that love to play with toys. And they love to get a bigger and bigger and bigger budget for more and more toys. And they've grown out of control with their toys, man. They really have. We should rein that shit in. And then I would ask, you know, are the people protected? And by protected, I say benefiting from these programs. Are these programs benefiting the people? Or do they benefit the power? Do they assure the safety of the people? Or do they assure the position of those in power? Seems to me like they mostly assure and guarantee that the people in the positions of power are never threatened, right? It doesn't seem like it actually benefits us, the people. Why would it benefit us to surveil ourselves, right? How does that benefit us? That doesn't make any sense. And then my third thought experiment about government is the idea that if we are progressing, if we are a progressive society and we're progressing, by the way, progressive is used completely wrong. And the vast majority of people have no understanding of what the term progressive means. The progressives want you to think that progressive means forward thinking, that progressive means to be open-minded and forward thinking. But the term progressive actually means to progressively enact rules or laws heading in the general direction of where you want to go. You can't take big bites. You have to take little bitty nibbles. You progressively move to where you want to get to. That's what progressives actually do. That's what it means to be progressive, okay? It does not mean to be forward thinking or to be open-minded as much as we would like for that to be true. It actually means to be prepared and or to have the battle plan technique of nibbling around the edges of something until you destroy it, right? That's what progressivism is. So as society progresses, and not in the sense of progressivism, as society progresses, shouldn't our government become smaller and not larger? Why does the government continually get larger and larger and larger? Seems to me that businesses are becoming more efficient, they're doing more with less. Why is the government so incredibly incapable of showing competence in this area? Why does the government always expand and never contract, right? That's something that we need to ask ourselves as the people. It's like our government should be becoming smaller, not larger. It should be becoming more adept. It should be becoming more efficient, not less. And I just can't understand how our government is so poorly in tune with how companies and corporations run. Because it runs exactly like a corporation or a company, except it's a really bad one where there's no accounting and billions of dollars get lost in the cracks and completely is full of people who fail upwards. Like if you lose $10 billion, we're definitely moving you up into the next position so that we can capitalize on that, right? We have all of these things going on in our government. And I want to see the government get smaller and more efficient, just like business. I want to see more kiosks and less humans. I want to see more convenience and less hassles. I want to see a system that actually works for us. It shouldn't be inconvenient. It's already inconvenient enough that I have to pay my fucking taxes and give them my money. Why should it be any more inconvenient than that, right? We live in the era of computers now. We live in an era where it'd be easy to catch fraudsters. They're already doing facial recognition in the state of Colorado. They're already doing that. Why do we have to have all these encumbered, gigantic systems that move so slowly to give us what we need? It's ridiculous, man. And I want to see a government that's leaner, more efficient, and does a better job for us and is less out for its own interests. You know, like we've created a beast that serves itself instead of us. And we need to ask ourselves, how does that serve us, the people? I love Jericho Green for blasting the world with the fire hose of truth, man. I love him. I love his voice, and I love to listen to what he has to say. And one of the things that I find interesting, but I'm perfectly okay with, is that Jericho Green is allowed to say things that I'm not allowed to say. He's allowed to say things that would get me called racist, but when he says them, nobody calls him racist. Nobody dares to call a black man racist when he says those things. So in a way, I'm thankful to the voice of Jericho Green for just expressing how we regular Americans feel, because I feel like he expresses the voice of normal, everyday Americans, average Americans, right? And I love his boldness, and I love how he's just going to shoot it absolutely, completely straight. So Jericho, man, just keep up the good work, bro. You are a voice that I love to listen to. Another one is Colin Noir, who is, basically a 2A advocate, and who has incredibly smart and sharp videos where he makes great arguments about why we need our Second Amendment protections. I'm really loving these voices that are the real woke voices. They're actually woke. To actually be woke is to say, F the plantation, I'm stepping off of this. You guys aren't doing what you say you're going to do, and you're just misleading us down the path to failure, right? And one of the things that sucks about the whole entire Dem side right now is that they don't have any fresh ideas. Nobody has any fresh ideas. Nobody has any real charisma. And I think that part of it is Barack Obama kind of ruined it for the candidates now. Like Kamala and Corey, I think that they're not as exciting as they once were because Barack Obama made a lot of promises that he never delivered on. He made a lot of promises to all of us that he never delivered on. And it is making Cory Booker's stock value and Kamala Harris's stock value a lot lower because of that, right? Had he actually delivered on the things he said he was going to do, they would be a shoo-in, right? But as it stands right now, none of those candidates are very exciting. None of them is charismatic. None of them is a great speaker. None of them has the chutzpah that it takes to get there to the finish line. I think that it's almost like it's just a conciliatory race. It's just sort of like they're just going through the motions because they know they're going to lose. They don't have any new ideas. They don't have any ideas to solve problems. Everything that they want to do just involves bloating the budget that much more and spending more and more money that we don't have. We're already doing that. We're already spending money we don't have. So spending more money that we don't have, and that's the other thing. It seems like the only hammer in the government toolbox is to throw money at shit. But that doesn't solve problems. Throwing money at problems does not solve problems. If throwing money at problems solved problems, problems would be solved. We wouldn't even have any problems right now because we throw so much money at all of these problems. There's no reason we would even have problems if money actually fixed problems. So maybe we need to try a different approach. Maybe we need to try something that doesn't involve more money, right? Maybe we need to try something that involves more real actual effort, more efficiency, more care and attention. Maybe we need to do some things like that instead of more money. Everything is always more expansion, more money, more taking of our rights. It's always the same. It doesn't work for me that every single solution involves us giving up more and more freedom. That's whack, dude. That solution is whack. We need better solutions than everybody just coughing up a little chunk of their freedom every single time something bad happens, right? The world is a fucked up place. Bad stuff happens, right? That's just the way the world is, dude. It goes back to that thing that there is no safety. There is only that which is less dangerous. Oh, man. So yeah, that basically concludes my show notes for today. Those were the things I wanted to discuss and talk about. I want to thank you guys. Y'all must be pretty thoughtful. Y'all must be pretty good people to be here watching me. Because if you weren't, you would have turned me off by now. You would have, you would have decided that you prefer not knowing. You would have decided that you'd rather just remain ignorant. And you would have gone and turned back on Maury Povich or something like that. So thank you so much for being thoughtful thinkers and listeners. I appreciate that. please make sure that you join me for the next episode. And please like, subscribe, share, comment. You can feel free to get a hold of me. And thank you so much for joining me here for the Matt Mettler Podcast. The Matt Mettler Podcast is a Matt Mettler production. Copyright 2019.